Well, the dairy sector is keeping a close eye on the hearing process for the federal milk marketing order as industry leaders continue to deliver testimony and discussion on proposals to modernize the system. Alan Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation joins us now from our Washington News Bureau for an update. Alan, thank you so much, as always. So I know this hearing is several weeks long. So do you know what's been covered so far? Where are you in the process?
Well, what we've been learning so far is that U.S. dairy farmers are really good at their jobs. We spent more than a week now talking about milk composition factors. This is literally how milk is composed, the various proportions of various parts of milk, which isn't something that a consumer is going to think about a lot. But dairy farmers think about it a lot because the amount of cheese, the amount of butter, the amount of products you can derive from a gallon of milk, that's value. And frankly, dairy farmers have added more value to milk in the last 23 years. We have systems for determining the price of these different components when a milk check is determined. They need to be updated to reflect farmers' hard work. Frankly, the quality of milk is better now than it was 23 years ago, the last time we saw a major change to this system. We need those component prices to be made fair for farmers. That's a lot of what we've been talking about over the last week.
That's interesting. So this hearing really sounds like an education for so many people in the process of making milk and, of course, then talking about the pricing. I know this is happening at the same time as the Farm Bill is under debate. Talk about how the two relate to one another.
Well, it's a lot of work for the dairy industry right now. You know, you have a farm bill that is due on September 30th on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, you have this milk pricing system debate going on. There is a little bit of overlap because there's some areas, part of it dealing with how much of a milk check can be a deduction for a processor for adding value to the product. You know, there are other areas that can become overlap with the farm bill. And frankly, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So we're pursuing changes through the federal order program, but there are also some really important things in terms of data and information that farmers are going to need to have a better system that are also going to be part of the Farm Bill process. So, you know, it's right hand, left hand, knowing what each other are doing. But, you know, not to mix our metaphors here, but I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
You know, Alan, this is something that I'm so curious about, right? Not one size fits all, especially across all ag sectors. When it comes to dairy, I would think probably one of the hardest things is kind of that pricing and making sure that everybody, because people have competing interests, trying to balance that. I guess speak to that a little bit.
Well, you really just, you isolated the issue right there, is that it is a balance. And one of the issues that we've been seeing in this hearing is you've seen a lot of cross-examination of witnesses, you know, especially dealing with processor interests, who, of course, you know, processors, they want to be able to maximize their profits as well. You know, this is America. Everybody gets to pursue every penny they possibly can. But one thing to really keep in mind as this hearing goes forward is that you have to balance the interest. This goes to a vote of dairy farmers. National Milk Producers Federation has put together a plan that, frankly, there's no clear winner in some of these things, and some of them, you know, people are getting more in some areas and having to give a little bit in the other. That's how you make a policy compromise. And so when you see self-interested parties, folks who are clearly aiming for the interest of their own bottom line, that sometimes can complicate the process, because you take a look at the plan NMPF has put forward, the Farm Bureau Federation has endorsed it. This represents the overwhelming majority of the dairy farmers who are voting on this plan. You have to keep in mind that you have to give a little to get a little. And some folks, when you see them coming forward and they're just frankly kind of in it for themselves, it's not helpful. And it's something we have to be mindful of as this process goes underway.
Well said. All about compromise. Alan, thank you. Always a pleasure. Alan Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation. Appreciate him being with us this morning.